I'm standing in the back office at 11:30 at night, watching my coworker's hand reach into the tip jar on my phone screen, and my whole body goes cold because this girl has been hugging me at the start of every single shift for the past 5 months. Let me back up. My name's Jaden, I'm 17, and I work at this frozen yogurt place called Swirl in a strip mall off Route 9. It's not glamorous. The floors are always sticky, the bathroom smells like artificial strawberry no matter how much I clean it, and the music playlist has exactly 41 songs that I have permanently memorized against my will. But honestly, I kind of love it there. It was my first real job. I started last March, right after I turned 17, and for someone whose previous income was birthday money from my grandma, making actual paychecks felt like becoming a real person. The team was small. There was me, this girl Priya who'd been there the longest, a guy named Devin who only worked weekends, and then Marissa. Marissa started about 2 weeks after me, and we basically went through training together. She was 16, super funny, always doing impressions of our manager Rick behind his back that were so accurate it was scary. We got close fast. Like she'd drive me home after closing shifts because my mom worked nights and couldn't pick me up. We'd sit in her car in my driveway for 20 minutes just talking about nothing. School drama, customers who were weird, what we'd do if we won the lottery. She felt like a real friend, not just a work friend. That distinction matters. And our whole team had this unspoken thing where we trusted each other. We shared a tip jar. Everything got split evenly at the end of each week. Rick would count it out every Sunday and divide it into envelopes. It wasn't a ton of money, maybe 30 to 50 bucks each per week depending on how busy we were, but it added up. And nobody ever questioned it. Why would we? We were a team. Here's the thing about working at a small place like Swirl though. You notice patterns even when you're not trying to. Around August, the tips started feeling lighter. Not dramatically, not like someone emptied the jar, but enough that I'd look at my envelope on Sunday and think, huh, that's it? I figured maybe people were just tipping less. It was the end of summer, everyone was broke from vacation, whatever. Priya mentioned it once too. She was like, did we just have a slow week or what? And I shrugged it off. But then it kept happening. Week after week, the numbers dipped. We were still busy. I was watching people drop dollars and coins into that jar all shift. The math wasn't mathing, as they say. I started paying closer attention during my shifts, but I never saw anything weird. The jar sat on the counter right next to the register, and during rushes it was hard to keep your eyes on it every second. I mentioned it to Rick once, kind of casually, and he just said, tips fluctuate, don't overthink it. Which, okay, sure. But I had this gut feeling that wouldn't go away. It sat in my stomach like something I ate too fast. I didn't want to suspect anyone because suspecting someone on a four-person team means you're basically suspecting a friend. And I really, really did not want to go there. Especially not with Marissa, who I was closest to, who I literally trusted with driving me home in the dark. But the thing about gut feelings is they don't care about your friendships. They just sit there and hum. So one Thursday in late September, I did something I still don't know if I feel great about. I set up my phone to record. I had an old phone, my previous one before I upgraded, and it still worked fine as a camera. I tucked it behind the napkin dispenser on the back counter, angled so it could see the register area and the tip jar. The screen was dark, it was in a black case, and honestly you'd never notice it unless you were looking for it. I didn't tell anyone. Not Priya, not Devin, definitely not Rick. I just let it record during my shift with Marissa that evening. The first night, nothing happened. The second night, nothing. I started feeling guilty, like maybe I was being paranoid and weird, and what kind of friend secretly films someone at work? The third night, a Tuesday, I almost didn't set it up. But I did, mostly out of habit at that point. Marissa and I were working the close shift together. It was slow after 8, the way it always is on Tuesdays, and around 9:15 I went to the back to restock the cups because we were running low on the medium size. I was gone maybe 4 minutes. When I came back, Marissa was just standing behind the register on her phone, totally normal. Anything happen? I asked. Nah, she said. Just some guy who couldn't decide between vanilla and cake batter for like 10 minutes. Riveting stuff. I laughed. We finished the shift. She drove me home. We talked about Halloween costumes. It was completely normal. That night, I plugged in the old phone and watched the footage, and my stomach dropped so hard I thought I was going to be sick. At 9:17, clear as day, Marissa walked over to the tip jar, glanced toward the back hallway where I'd gone, reached in, pulled out what looked like a few bills and slipped them into the pocket of her apron. She did it fast, like she'd done it before, like it was muscle memory. Then she just walked back to the register and picked up her phone. 4 seconds, maybe 5, that's all it took. I watched it 3 times because I kept hoping I was seeing it wrong. I wasn't. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay in bed staring at my ceiling, replaying everything. Every ride home, every time she'd complained about being broke, every time she'd looked me in the eye while we counted down the register together. I felt so stupid, but more than that, I felt hurt in this deep, specific way that's hard to explain. Like, it wasn't just money. It was the fact that she was stealing from me and Priya and Devon and somehow still showing up every day being funny and warm and normal. How do you do that? How do you hug someone at the start of a shift and then take money out of their pocket an hour later? I didn't go to Rick right away. I know I probably should have. Instead, I did something dumb. I texted Priya. I told her everything, sent her the video. And Priya, bless her, is not someone who keeps things to herself. Within 2 hours, Devon knew, Devon's girlfriend knew, and by the next morning, Marissa knew that people were talking because Devon's girlfriend, who went to Marissa's school, made some vague post about people who steal from their own friends, and Marissa is not stupid. She put it together. She texted me at 6 in the morning. Did you seriously record me at work? Not, I'm sorry. Not, I can explain. Just that, and something in me snapped. I called her. She picked up, and before she could say anything, I said, did you seriously steal from the tip jar? And there was this silence. This long, awful silence where I could hear her breathing and I could hear my own heartbeat in my ears. Then she said, you don't know what's going on with me, Jaden. And I said, then tell me. And she hung up, she just hung up, she didn't come to her next shift. Rick called her and she didn't answer. He called me into the back office and asked me what was going on, and I showed him the video because at that point, what else was I supposed to do? He watched it with this expression that was just tired, not angry, just tired. He said he'd have to let her go. I nodded. And then I went into the bathroom and cried, which is embarrassing to admit, but I'm telling you the truth here. 3 days later, Priya told me something that made me feel like the floor opened up underneath me. Marissa's mom had lost her job back in July. Her dad hasn't been in the picture for years. Marissa had been helping pay for groceries. Not spending money, not fun stuff. Groceries. She'd been too embarrassed to tell anyone, and she'd been taking from the tip jar because her paychecks were already going to her mom's car payment. Priya found this out from a mutual friend, and when she told me, I literally had to sit down on the curb outside Swirl because my legs felt like they weren't working. I thought about every time Marissa said she was fine, and every time I complained about wanting new shoes around her. I thought about how I'd sent that video to Priya instead of just talking to Marissa first. One conversation. That's all it would have taken. Maybe she still would have gotten fired, maybe the outcome would have been the same, but at least I would have given her the chance to be honest with me before her whole job and reputation blew up in front of everyone. It's been about 6 weeks since all of this happened. Marissa won't talk to me. I've texted her 4 times and got nothing back. She got a new job at a grocery store across town, according to Priya. Rick hired someone new, a guy named Andre who's perfectly nice and who I have zero connection with. The tip jar is full again. My envelopes are heavier on Sundays, and I feel awful about it in a way I can't totally make sense of, because here's where I'm stuck. She was stealing, that's real, that's wrong. It was our money too, and we earned it. But I also went behind her back, filmed her without consent, and then let the whole thing spread through other people instead of just confronting her myself. I took the coward's way out and dressed it up as doing the right thing. So honestly, I need you to tell me. Was I right to record her and report it, or should I have talked to her first? If you were in my position, what would you have done?